Struggling Rachel Reeves torn apart by GMB's Susanna Reid in total car crash. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has been slammed by Good Morning Britain viewers after a complete car crash interview. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has been the subject of a car crash interview, according to Good Morning Britain viewers. Susanna Reid asked one simple question on the show as she wanted to get insight into VAT rises, but Reeves refused to answer the question and told her that they would be sticking to the manifesto. The ITV morning show host asked why she was refusing to answer the question, but Reeves continued to talk about other aspects of the plans. Susanna also told her that people would be astonished that Reeves believed she had stabilized the economy, telling her the economy has completely flatlined. She added, "You say the manifesto stands. Labor wouldn't increase taxes on working people, wouldn't increase national insurance to basic higher rates of income tax or VAT. You can't rule out raising VAT. Aren't you out of touch with the people watching your interview?" Reeves stated she accepts there's more to do to make people better off and bring down hospital waiting lists, but listed things the Labour Party have done, such as increasing wages, but added, "There is more to do. I absolutely recognize that." She finished by stating, "I want to make further progress absolutely, but we've made a start." Earlier in the interview, Rachel had avoided questions on the rise of VAT, with Susanna asking upwards of 5 times if she could say on the record that VAT would not be increased. Viewers quickly noticed the avoidance and took to X to rage over the interview, with one user writing, "Rachel Reeves may have just put the second-to-last nail in her career coffin with that interview. Absolute car crash of Diane Abbott proportions. Final nail will be the release of the budget. Game over, I think." Another wrote, "Rachel Reeves could not have been closer to tears." A third said, "Rachel Reeves on GMB, totally trashed by Susanna Reid and has developed a twitch to her left eye when she's under pressure and nervous." A fourth added, "Well done Susanna that put Rachel Reeves on the back foot. She looked like a rabbit in headlights." A fifth person added, "The Rachel Reeves interview on GMB just now was embarrassing. She was out of her comfort zone when asked a question that required a yes or no answer. All she could say was air. Others referred to the interview as a disaster, and the most embarrassing interview for her to date. It was supposed to be a smooth morning for Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor whose every step is under the microscope. She was booked for what aides promised would be a straightforward TV hit on Good Morning Britain, the usual blend of polite grilling and soundbites that politicians endure over lukewarm coffee at 6 in the morning. Yet what unfolded under the unforgiving studio lights was nothing short of a political demolition job, a segment that quickly earned the dreaded label, Total Car Crash. From the moment Susanna Reid locked eyes with Reeves, viewers sensed this was not going to be business as usual. Reid, known for her calm but incisive questioning, had the poise of a barrister preparing to dismantle a shaky witness. Reeves, by contrast, appeared weary, her shoulders tight beneath a gray blazer that looked one size too stiff for comfort. She smiled nervously, fumbling her papers as if searching for an escape hatch. The segment began harmlessly enough. Reid asked about inflation, about the Chancellor's much-vaunted pledge to bring stability after years of turbulence. Reeves leaned in, deploying her well-practiced line about responsible choices and difficult decisions for the greater good. But Reid wasn't buying it. She interrupted with surgical precision. "So, Chancellor, if these are the responsible choices, why do so many ordinary families feel poorer than ever?" Reeves faltered. Her response meandered through the usual terrain: global headwinds, inherited fiscal challenges, commitments to long-term growth. Yet the more she spoke, the more viewers could see the frustration tightening across Reid's face. And then came the moment that would dominate headlines. "With respect," Reid cut in, her tone icily polite, "that sounds less like leadership and more like excuse-making. Do you actually have a plan, or just a list of reasons why nothing can improve right now?" The studio went silent. Reeves blinked, swallowed, and began again, but the rhythm was broken. Each new attempt at spin was skewered by Reid, who refused to allow jargon to pass unchallenged. "What does that mean in pounds and pence for the single mother watching this morning? Why did you promise no tax rises only to raise them? Are you listening to the people you serve, or just reading off Treasury briefing notes?" It was clear Reeves was drowning. Social media lit up with real-time commentary, car crash interview. She looks lost. Reid is tearing her to shreds. Clips circulated faster than producers could refresh their feeds, with a hashtag Reeves car crash trending before the broadcast was even over. Reid pressed hardest on credibility. Reeves has long been cast as Labour's steady hand, the economist who would soothe markets after the chaos of the past. But under the bright lights, that reputation looked fragile. When Reid produced statistics on child poverty that contradicted Treasury claims, Reeves appeared rattled. When she was asked whether she personally understood what it was like to skip meals to pay energy bills, her hesitant answer, "I understand people are struggling," landed with a hollow thud of political distance. One exchange in particular crystallized the collapse. "Reid, you keep saying growth will come. But when? Families can't pay their bills in 2 years' time. They're choosing between heating and eating today. What's your answer to them right now?" Reeves, "Well, what I'd say is that we've taken steps to ensure long-term stability." Reid, "That's not an answer. What do they do today?" Reeves' silence, just a flicker too long before she spoke again, was clipped into GIFs and memes within seconds. Commentators called it the pause that killed the interview. Behind the scenes, Labour aides reportedly watched with horror. This was supposed to be a platform to project strength, a counter to criticism that Reeves had been invisible during the most turbulent weeks of the government's economic program. Instead, it was a masterclass in how not to handle a hostile interview. Aides who once described her as unflappable were suddenly scrambling for new adjectives. Overprepped, defensive, out of her depth. For Susanna Reid, it was a tour de force. Long accused by detractors of being too soft on certain guests, she reminded the nation of her formidable interviewing chops. Viewers recalled her devastating takedown of ministers during the pandemic, when she became the voice of public exasperation. This morning, she reprised that role with ruthless precision, embodying the frustration of millions who feel politicians float above their daily hardships. The fallout was immediate. Headlines branded it a total car crash, with some columnists speculating whether Reeves' credibility as Chancellor could ever recover. Conservative MPs gleefully shared clips on their feeds, mocking Labour's economic front as all slogan, no substance. Even within Labour circles, whispers began. If this is how Reeves handles pressure on breakfast TV, what happens when she faces a full-blown crisis in the markets? Yet the story is more than just one bad interview. It reveals the shifting dynamics of political accountability in an age when a 10-second clip can define a career. Once, politicians feared the wrath of Parliament or the editorial page. Now, their greatest peril lies in a viral moment, replayed endlessly on TikTok and Twitter, stripped of nuance and framed as definitive. For Reeves, that peril has materialized. There is also a symbolic weight. Labour positioned her as the emblem of competence, a foil to the chaos of her predecessors. To watch her stumble so publicly punctures that narrative. It humanizes her, perhaps, but at the cost of authority. In politics, vulnerability is rarely forgiven. The wider question is whether this moment will linger or fade. Car crashes can sometimes be survived. Politicians recover with contrition, new messaging, or sheer luck. But Reeves' ordeal struck a chord because it tapped into genuine public anger. The sense that politicians, no matter their party, remain unable, or unwilling, to answer the simplest, most human questions. What about today? What about me? As the credits rolled on Good Morning Britain, Reeves must have felt the weight of both history and humiliation pressing down. Susanna Reid, by contrast, looked serene, closing the segment with her trademark composure. The contrast could not have been starker. One woman in control, the other unraveling. For Reeves, the coming weeks will be crucial. She can retreat, lick her wounds, and recalibrate, or she can double down, hoping the storm passes. But politics is rarely forgiving, and the label car crash has a way of sticking. By evening, memes of the interview flooded social media. Reeves as a deer in headlights, Reid as a lioness cornering her prey. Satirical accounts mocked up Rachel Reeves satnavs. Guaranteed car crash every time. Even late-night comedians seized the moment, replaying the pause that went viral. And so, in a single morning slot, Rachel Reeves' aura of competence was dented, perhaps permanently. Not by an economic crisis, nor by opposition attack lines, but by the calm, relentless questions of a broadcaster who simply refused to accept political spin. It was television at its rawest, unscripted, uncomfortable, unforgettable. A reminder that in politics, sometimes the most dangerous battlefield isn't Parliament or Downing Street. It's a sofa on Good Morning Britain.